Hey people, LoveExcelsAll on the spot. You know what it is. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's get it going. I won't delay. We're just gonna hop right in. I'm gonna talk about some synthesis basics. Not necessarily aiming to make a particular sound, but just thoughts and tips that'll help you along your way to create your own patches. I'm gonna try to keep things simple. So this is really for beginners. Without delay, let's hop right in. Okay, so here we are. This is Serum xfer Records Serum default patch. It's a basic saw wave. The saw is the shape of this waveform that we're using here. And so just to kind of like quickly go over Serum's interface, we have 4 noise making things or oscillators or whatever you want to call them, sources, you know. So we have this oscillator A here, we have oscillator B, we have the sub layer, and noise, you know. And noise in Serum can actually be noise, so actual noise, but this can also be samples like these attacks from kick drums. And I should probably make this a one-shot. We've got our kick attack here, and there's a lot of different samples that are in here. And in fact, if you got your own sample, like for instance, I have my Eternal track ID here that I use for my songs. I could literally take this, and if Ableton is gonna work, I could literally take this and drag this right in there and play it. And if we want to enable pitch tracking, we can make it have some fun there. If we go back to our default, what we have here is called the wavetable. This is a saw wavetable, and it is literally a single cycle of this wave, you know, form here. This sample, let's call it. It's one sample. But the way that we get sound out of a synthesizer is it plays this sound and then loops it and plays it again, and then loops it and plays it again. And how frequently that happens over time determines pitch. So in other words, if it's happening at 440 cycles, which is I think A, we hear A, you know what I mean? So when we slow that down a little bit, we get G or even A flat. And when we speed that up, in other words, when that cycle plays more frequently in a second, say like 550 times instead of 440 times, I don't know what pitch that is, but we get a higher pitch than this, you know? So this would be 440, and theoretically this would be 550, you know what I mean? And at 10,000, I don't know, it's like dog hearing or something. When we play a few notes, we're able to get chords and stuff. And so as you can hear, this sharp shape sounds like this. It has some edge to it. But when we round that out and we use more of a smooth form like this, we get what we call a pure tone. So there's no harmonics here, you know. And if we look at it, we can see that it's simply like that one harmonic, that one spike there that we get, and the phase is in the center. So we essentially get like what we call a pure tone. And when we look at a saw, we see that we have all of these harmonics, and it kind of like starts out tall, and then it kind of smooths out a little bit, and everything is in phase, and we get something that sounds like that. And so a triangle is missing every other harmonic. This is only odd harmonics with nothing, no even harmonics whatsoever. But when we add a little bit more of the even harmonics and play around with our phase a little bit, we end up with what we call a squirrel pulse or a pulse. And the reason why we call it a pulse is because you can shift this from the center and thin it out. And if you notice, it becomes a little bit thinner sounding, and it can get quite thin. You know, so, and these are great for bass. You know, and you see this sounds a little bit thinner, so we don't get that gorgeous bottom end that we get here. Saws also, excuse me, triangles also great for bass. Saws also great for bass. Not as much guts there. And of course the pure tone, you know, you get what you get. You know. So there we go. That's, and they added in this shape, which is essentially kind of a square and a saw combined, because some older keyboards had that as their wavetable that the synth was based on. Moving right along and wrapping up, I just want you to understand that choosing the right wavetable can have a tremendous impact on your outcome. So just for the sake of argument, if we take this horribly timed bass line that I just put in there. You see, we have quite a big difference in our bass sound. You know, we've got like a lot of variation there, and I've barely begun to do anything. So choosing the right wavetable to begin with can be a powerful way to change the direction that you're actually heading in. And I'll end it here. We'll dig further in our next tutorial, and you know, I hope that this was beneficial to you. Again, this is for beginners. So, but I hope that you got something from this, and you know, join me again as we head deeper into synthesis.